Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us today for the Drive Green Ottawa speaker series with Shana Sachwani, engineer with Envari Energy Solutions. Before I make a formal introduction, for those of you who don't know us, EnviroCenter is a nonprofit environmental organization based here in Ottawa. Our core mission supports sustainable lifestyles, which means that we encourage people to take action on climate in their own lives, in their homes, their workplaces and businesses, their communities, and of course, right here in our city. Our work focuses on 4 key areas: green homes, green transportation, green business, and green lifestyle. Today, we're here, of course, to talk about green transportation in Ottawa, as we have been all week for Drive Green Ottawa Week, and specifically zero emissions, low carbon transportation. But before we get started on the topic at hand, we have just a few logistical notes. So please note that this session is being recorded and will be shared online after the event on EnviroCenter's YouTube channel. You can check out the other videos from our other events this week there as well. Please keep yourself muted during the presentation portion so that we can all hear Shana speaking. And at the end of the presentation, we'll have a Q&A period where I'll be bringing forward questions from the chat. So if you have a question burning a hole in your brain as the presentation goes, please type it into the chat and we'll bring them through to make sure that everybody gets a chance to have their question answered. We are going to end right on the hour today, so if we do run out of time, we'll follow up after for any unanswered questions. But without further ado, our speaker today is Shana Sachwani, and Shana is an electrical engineer at Envari Energy Solutions, a member of the Hydro Ottawa group of companies. Envari provides businesses with innovative solutions to help them save energy, improve their financial performance, and reduce environmental impacts. Shana is a registered professional engineer in the province of Ontario with over a decade of experience in a variety of sectors. She started her career as a manufacturing and process engineer at Schneider Electric. Then, in an effort to gain more hands-on experience, she accepted a role in the electrical consulting field before finally joining the team at Envari Energy Solutions. Shana is passionate about making a positive impact on the environment. At Envari, much of her time is spent on promoting the transition to clean mobility, where she conducts EV readiness assessments and facilitates the installation of EV chargers and EV infrastructure. Shana is also involved in projects that deal with high voltage electrical equipment, which include electric vault condition assessments and vault replacements. Once again, welcome to everyone in our audience. Thank you for joining us today. And Shana, you have the digital floor. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I hope everyone can see my screen. Okay, so let's start. So first of all, I would like to thank you for the opportunity given to us to speak at this event. Without further ado, let's start right into the presentation. So before I start on our main topic of discussion, I would like to give a brief introduction of who we are. Envari Energy Solutions, also known as Envari, is a member of Hydro Ottawa group of companies, which includes Hydro Ottawa, the third largest distribution company in the province with over 335,000 residential and commercial customers, Portage Power, Ontario's largest municipally owned producer of green power, and Envari Energy Solutions. We were originally known as Energy Ottawa and have been around for over 20 years. We design custom energy solutions for local businesses, government, and utility companies, and provide guidance in the areas of energy efficiency and environmental sustainability. We are a team of specialized designers, engineers, and project managers that help customers find solutions which work for their business needs. Solutions that are designed specifically for them to help them save energy, improve their financial performance, and reduce their carbon footprint. We have 3 key practice areas: lighting, building, and electrical. Each has a different portfolio of products and services, like lighting has street lighting and maintenance, building has energy audits and assessments, and electrical has energy storage and work services, etc. So let's jump to our key topic of discussion today, which is installation of EV charging infrastructure. So why EVs? Most of us know the benefits of electric vehicles. Electric cars are better for the environment. Owning an EV is like giving your planet like a high five, because choosing electricity over gas is simply the right thing to do. That means that there are no carbon emissions getting out in the atmosphere. Also, EVs cost less to run, and are proven to have lower maintenance costs over the life of the vehicle. You know, when you commit to filling your car up at the gas station, the dollar figure just goes up and it doesn't stop. Well, with EVs, that's not the case. If we compare the price you pay at the gas station versus the price you pay to plug in and charge your EV, you can definitely save a lot. Another advantage of EV is maintenance. There is simply less to worry about. Like, there is no exhaust or radiator. You just take care of brakes, tires, suspensions, and you are good there. As for the batteries, most of the manufacturers have warranties for up to around like 10 years. So maintenance is a plus point of EVs. Most likely, EV vehicles will get affordable with time. And even the used car market is growing. They are not as cheap as the gas cars, but still you will be saving a lot in the longer run. So if you own an EV or you are planning to own an EV, you need a place to charge it. For over the next few slides, I will guide you through Envari's roadmap on how you can make your building ready for electric vehicles. So why should you install EV chargers in your vehicles? Installing EV chargers would help you in customer retention, customer convenience, and they can even help you to generate a revenue stream. It can help you in managing energy usage and also improve your company's brand image. So let's start with the roadmap. So step one. Step one is discovery. So you start with gauging interest of your residents to see what their thoughts are on EVs. Are they concerned about that if they buy a car, which is EV, where they would charge it? Survey them on what they think about the subject, what their mindsets are. Talk to your property managers to see if they have seen any interest from the residents, that if they are planning to buy an EV or they might be considering moving somewhere else that has EV chargers, etc. Also, educate yourself on what's available in the market. Try to know different types of chargers that are available. It can be as simple as calling any manufacturer and talking to them on phone to get an idea of what's available out there. One of the most important thing is to gather information specific to your building, like electrical plans, architectural plans, hydro bills, etc. Once you have gathered your information, researched, engaged interest, now it's time to consult with the subject matter experts, people like us at Envari, who can help you review your building's electrical service capacity and help you in determining the best solution for your building. They can also involve local utility companies on your behalf and design and obtain necessary information to draft the best solution and options for you. Do make sure to ask a lot of questions and discuss issues like billing, metering, and other important details with your consultants. For example, how would you like to bill the EV owners for charging their vehicles? Would you prefer a fixed cost per session? Or maybe would you prefer a fixed cost for a month? There are different options out there. And if you discuss these options, the consultants would come up with something which is best for you. Talk to them on how would you like to install the chargers. Whether you want to install chargers in phases. For example, if you want to install 20 chargers this year, 40 next year. So how can you plan that? Talk to them about it. Would you prefer power sharing options or dedicated chargers? Questions like this would help you and help them understand your specific needs. Once you have gone from step 1 and step 2, now it's time for the experts to design a solution that works best for your needs. There is no one-size-fits-all solution or a cookie-cutter approach that can be applied to every building. The fact is that each building is unique and each solution is customized to suit the specific needs of that particular building. There are a number of factors that experts would consider for your specific design. It would be dependent on the available capacity, number of parking stalls, how your building is, etc. So once you have design, now you move to installation. So now you will hire contractors who would do installation for you. They would gather all the necessary permits and install the chargers and related infrastructure for you. They can also help you in procuring all the equipment that's necessary. So let's summarize this short roadmap. So step 1 is discover your needs. Step 2 is collaborate with experts, call them, consult them so that you can get a best solution. Step 3 is design and install. This is a short roadmap which you can use as a basis to make your building ready for electric vehicles. However, once design and install is done, it doesn't end there. Once you have all that equipment installed, you need to maintain and operate it. So most of the EV charger manufacturers have plans and warranties. You can pick and choose what works for you. You can hire companies which can perform preventive maintenance so that your equipment is at its best. I'll give you a brief introduction of the government incentives over here. So all the steps we discussed before, of course, would need a lot of funds. So it's good to know that there are some government funding programs which can help you cover up to 50% of the project cost to a maximum of dollar amount per connector. For example, if a building is installing 20 level 2 chargers, so they can get up to a maximum of $5,000 per connected chargers. That's around $100,000. That's a pretty good amount if you are installing a lot of EV chargers. However, these programs have timings and deadlines. You can check further details on the government website. I hope this was helpful and I was not too fast. If there are any questions in the chat, I will try my best to answer them.
Thank you, Shana. That was great. Lots of information, very concise. We do have a question in the chat here. Let me just pull it out real quick. It just popped in. As a resident, do you have suggestions on how to approach building management around charging stations? So from the perspective of someone living in one of these buildings, many managers are ignorant about the costs or even the needs of an EV, and many residents have received unresponsive returns from management. Do you have any advice for tenants who are looking to approach management about this kind of an initiative?
So what I have seen is that usually tenants, if it's a condo, tenants are usually part of the board, so they can discuss their needs over there, and if they gauge, like, they can have their own survey and see like how many residents are interested in EVs, so they can put a case forward in front of condo management through condo board members. If you're a condo owner, if you're rental residents, then you can approach your property manager, property management company, and put your request over there.
That makes sense. Have you heard from anyone who's had difficulty with property managers before? Any solutions that they've had, or is it like maybe bringing some of this information that you've presented to us today? Have you had tenants who have brought that to property managers and seen success, or?
No, actually, what I have seen is quite opposite. Property managers, condo owners, they're really interested in this now.
Okay.
So I have not seen someone who would say, no, we are not doing this, we cannot install. Like, I have seen a good approach. So it's opposite. So people are changing their mindset, they are moving towards it.
That's great. It's good to see those trends happening. I mean, it's something that we see sort of across the field, whether it comes to building energy use or electric vehicles. Those opinions are changing as we go along here. I encourage anyone who also has questions to type them into the chat. I do have a couple of my own here. You mentioned the incentives about for the multi-unit residential buildings, which was one of my questions coming into this presentation. So I'm really glad that you were able to identify those and lay those out. Do you have any details or idea about how those incentives are claimed? What the process looks like? Is it where you spend the money up front and get some money back? Is there a lot of paperwork? Do you know anything about that process?
So I'll share my experience.
Sure.
So you start with showing your interest and asking them for an application package. You fill that application package. I won't say it's a lot of paperwork. It's detailed, but it's not like a lot of paperwork. There are people out there who can help you in filling that package. So once you have that, you put your application in. On basis of your application, government decides whether you get the grant money or not. And after that, usually it's you spend the money up front and then you get it back. So, but it's really easy. It's not something which has a lot of details, etc. Of course, you have to show your receipts that you bought a charger and etc. But it's not like really a complicated process.
Oh, that's great. It's always in the details, right? It's great that they have these incentives, and then it's good to just make sure businesses and property owners understand how they work and when that money will come to them. So thank you for that. I've got another question in the chat here from Doug, which says, will Envari perform an electrical system inventory / audit in the building as part of the EVRA, or is this something that the condo core would need to do beforehand?
Can you repeat that question, please?
Will Envari perform like an electrical system inventory or audit on the building, like as part of your process here, or is this something that the condo core would have to do beforehand and submit to you? You talked about the electrical plans, architectural plans, that kind of thing too, I think, in your
it can go both ways. If you already have something performed, we can use that. Okay, but before moving on, we always try to do to gather more information on our basis to see how it's going. If Envari is doing the assessment for you and we go with the install, you might get like a offset of that assessment from us. But we are okay if you have already someone who performed that assessment, we can use that assessment to move forward.
That's great. Very flexible then, because I sometimes wonder if people would sort of look into this and take these steps after having one of those assessments and sort of having someone else identify those opportunities. But it's nice to have sort of a smooth process if people haven't taken that step yet and they just want to get in touch with you and have you guide them from there. So that's great. No more questions in the chat for now. I work a lot of the time in my role with Envari Center with businesses who are looking to be more sustainable in various different ways. And we have talked with a few of them, especially more recently lately, about installing EV chargers and EV infrastructure at some of these buildings. I know that mostly we're talking about multi-unit residential buildings today, which are in and of themselves their own businesses, but is there a lot of difference? I know Envari works with all kinds of different partners. Is there a lot of difference for, say, a small to medium-sized enterprise with their own building in order to install these kinds of chargers? Are there different incentives available?
So incentives are available for both commercial and residential customers. To answer your question on the difference, like the difference is basically based on building. The process we follow is the same. Of course, there won't be any residential tenants, but if you have commercial building, you would have office tenants. The process might still be same, but each building has a different solution.
That's great. So it's more of a difference between the physical buildings than what's actually happening inside of them.
So think of it like for an office building. When we start the conversation with hydro on the consumption, the way we take on an office building is different to the path of what we take on a residential building, because some of the residential building, each owner pays for its own hydro cost. So it's a bit different. In commercial, you might be charging your tenant on a per square foot basis, something like that. So the process, we go to hydro for both buildings, but how it's done, it's a different path. But the process is essentially the same.
Makes sense. Well, that's good. Keeps it simple, because I know that there are likely a lot of people who will be watching this recording later from that perspective when I point it out to them. I got another great question from Doug here in the chat. Do you happen to be familiar with any multi-unit residential buildings that are using EV charging as a revenue source from non-residents? You mentioned it as a revenue source, but is that something that you've seen much of?
It's they are installing chargers which they can use as revenue streams. Now, if you have a building with a lot of security, that might be a problem. But for example, I'll give you a small example of a visitor parking. There are visitors parking in your building. You can charge them if they charge your vehicle on your charger. You can charge them for that. So that can generate your revenue stream.
That's great. That's a great opportunity, I think, for people, and it encourages people to even be a bit more comfortable using EVs. I know the range anxiety is something that still comes up, even though we've had some great presentations this week to show how many chargers there are around. But it's great to know that visitors too, like you could go to somebody's building and know that those infrastructure opportunities exist for the building management. I've got another question in here from Lucas. Would usually everyday residents have the option to have freestanding charging units in open air parking lots or gas stations, or mounted on walls, or like what's the sort of physical setup, I guess, and how easy is it to install the different types of charging stations?
So physical setup actually depends on how your building is. So to give you an example, there's a building, for example, there's a building in downtown Ottawa. It wants to install EV chargers on all its parking level. Where we would install wall-mounted chargers versus a pedestal depends upon how the parking stall is. There might not be any wall on one of the stalls. It's a middle stall and there's no wall. So we might have to install pedestal over there. If there is a wall over there on one of the stalls, you'll install a wall charger. So it depends upon how your parking spot is and how your building is.
Perfect. So it's just basically configured to the setup. That makes total sense.
That's where when I said, like, it always depends upon your building's specific needs. I cannot say that we can install 5 wall mounted and 5 pedestals. No, it depends upon how your building is.
That makes sense. I'm out of questions in the chat for now, so if anyone has one you'd like to see answered, please pop it in there right away. Oh, I've got one right again from Doug. Great. Do you anticipate any City of Ottawa regulations mandating EV charging in condos? That is a really great question. Again, do you see any regulatory changes in the future mandating other residential buildings?
I think there might be. Like, I'm not someone who can speak on the behalf of what policy changes City of Ottawa would be doing. But if, in my personal opinion, I would like some mandates for it to be true. Like, if it's already in the standard, people will install it. No one has to worry about it then. So I think that it should be. It's my personal opinion. I cannot speak on behalf of City though.
Nope, that makes sense. But it is something that would definitely move things along, I think. It's it's interesting to see, because we've heard lots of great presentations this week about what Hydro is doing to prepare for sort of the incoming demand and all these sort of different the charging infrastructure and how it's developing, and so it's interesting to see that the sense that the demand is growing, that the sense the demand is there is clear. Everybody's taking steps because it's clear. So it's interesting to see how soon it will be before people start regulating that way. I have maybe a pretty simple question that you probably get asked a lot, but in lieu of being able to install a charging station, maybe as one of our questions earlier suggested that some building managements, not in your experience, but in other people's experience, can be resistant. Is there something that stops people from plugging in their electric car just into a plug, like an outlet? Like what's the advantage of installing one of these charging stations compared to using regular power at your home?
So, regular outlet is considered as level 1 charging station, and these chargers what I'm talking about are considered as level 2 charging station. So level 1, you can plug in your car using a particular attachment, but it would be way slower. So you're looking into 14 hours to 12 hours time to get a full battery charge. Versus if you install a level 2 charger and you charge it to it, you might be looking into 3 to 4 hours. So that's the biggest difference. It's nothing wrong in plugging in your car in a regular outlet, but you are looking into a way longer time.
That makes total sense. So just a matter of convenience mostly there. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a good option for people who are looking to make the transition to an electric vehicle and for whatever reason they can't get a level 2 charger installed fast enough. You have that option, but it sounds like the better option is definitely to contact Envari and get your property manager on board with getting some level 2 chargers in. Got a couple more questions here, it looks like. So from Carol, would small independent landlords, like say 6 residential units with outdoor parking that also provides a car sharing service to their own building and neighborhood qualify for this kind of funding? So the incentives, do you know, like what's the restriction on receiving those? Would a 6 residential unit place with outdoor parking, would they qualify for those incentives you talked about?
Yeah, so these incentives, as the programs come in, has some limitations, but I know there is a program which I think is starting soon, which doesn't have on the number of, which doesn't like has any kind of limitation on the number of chargers you're installing. So yeah, there are opportunities for projects like small buildings like that.
That's great. That's fantastic. And yeah, and Daryl just made a comment about how level 1 recharge time depends on how much the battery has been depleted. So that does make sense. I mean, if you haven't used all the juice up in your car yet, then maybe it's a slightly shorter charging time. So again, might be a viable option for people who haven't been able to get a level 2 charger at their building yet. But it looks like things are moving in that direction for everybody, hopefully. That's great. What about in terms of sort of capacity, like do these, you mentioned maintenance a little bit, if cars are being charged on these chargers like all the time, like 24/7, say in the case, again, maybe I'm thinking more from my business lens with a fleet, for example, of corporate vehicles, do these chargers need to be replaced too often? Like what's their sort of life expectancy on the equipment?
No, these chargers are really robust. And even though if for example, if we install a charger in a lot of like vehicular access areas, etc., we make sure that we have proper protections. So these chargers are designed to last. It's not like after 2 years you might have to install another one. No, it's not like that. They are designed to last, and that manufacturers offer warranties up to for 10 years and after even. So that means they think that these chargers would last that much. So it's not like it would it's something like a phone or something like that would like die after 2 years, or you need
Right.
one, they would last.
That's great. That's obviously good news. I have a question for you here in the chat. Do you drive an electric vehicle?
No, I don't.
I think that's something that a lot of us want to be doing, and we're sort of trying to get there. For people who are interested in owning and driving an electric vehicle, there have been lots of other sessions this week to talk about what's coming. The follow-up question is, why not? Is there a particular barrier that's stopping you from driving an EV?
I'll be true. I still have a lot of payments on my current car. So once I get rid of them, my next car would be an EV for sure.
I think this is one of the things about the transition that we like to talk about more in the context of homes, I think, when it comes to replacing heating systems. But end of life is an important time to replace equipment, because the manufacturing process, there's lots of other sort of impacts to replace equipment too soon. So it's something that I know we recommend when I work on the home side of things with people and their home energy use, waiting till the furnace is sort of on its last legs before switching off natural gas, because it makes everything a little bit more affordable, and obviously it prevents inefficiency there. So I think there's probably a lot of people in the same boat as you. And I know that there are incentives out there now for used EVs, but there aren't too many available on the market. There are incentives for new EVs. So those of you on there who are on the call interested, feel free to check those out. Check out our other recordings this week, which leads me to another question I see here from Lucas, which I can answer. It is, will today's session or any other of the electric vehicle webinars this week be posted somewhere online for future viewing? I mentioned at the beginning while people were still filtering into the call, but all of our recordings from the week are on the Enviri Center YouTube channel. My colleague Darren is running background tech support here. Maybe he can grab a link there and post it in the chat. So it makes it easy for everybody. I don't see any other questions in the chat here, so I'll give everyone another 10 seconds or so to type something in if you got something you want to ask quickly, and then otherwise we'll wrap things up and we'll send out a follow-up email after the event here, so that if people have follow-up questions or are interested in approaching Envari about a building that you're either living in or that you're part of the management structure for, please reach out. Thank you, everyone. So I'll cut back here to the outro. So thanks very much again, Shana, for joining us today and sharing all that information. It was great. Lots of details in there that I can share with lots more people in my future, because these are lots of things that we talk about throughout the year, not just during Drive Green Ottawa Week. So it's good to have these resources. So again, check out those recordings online. Darren has posted in the chat the link to our YouTube channel, so they're all available there. And thanks again to all of our attendees who took the time to join us live today and ask some questions. If you liked the session, please don't forget to check out all the other recordings that we have and the other events and activities that we have coming up in the future with Envari Center. You can check our website to learn more. Drive Green Ottawa Week is presented by Envari Center in partnership with the City of Ottawa, and a special thanks to Envari and to EVCO for all your support this week. I think it's been really great, and it's been great to see so many people online. Again, don't forget to sign up to our newsletter and check out our website for more information. We'll post another link in the chat there. Looks like Darren's already on top of it. And I also want to thank Darren for running things in the background today. Wouldn't have been possible to have this event today without him. So thanks very much, Darren. And thanks very much again to everybody, to you, Shana, to the audience. Have a great afternoon and take care.